day. Welcome to 2021 World Intellectual Property Forum. I'm the moderator, Professor Mei-Hsin Wang from National University of Science and Technology. I'm also the fellow of Royal Society of Chemistry UK. Today I'm here for this panel titled IP Strategy for New Era. In this panel, we're very honored to have Kenichi Nagasawa, the Senior Managing Executive Officer, CANON, Dr. Josu Kim, former Chief Presiding Administrative Judge, IPTAP in Korean IP Office, with industry experience at LG, Professor David Wentang Su, VP and General Counsel in MediaTek, and Mr. Shinsu Ogawa, the General Manager of IP entity Docomo. Nevertheless, my co-moderator, Professor Edward Lemon, Managing Partner of Lemon Lee Shu. All our eminent panelists are the Senior Executive Officers, VPs, General Counsel, General Managers from the global leading companies. They will elaborate their experiences in handling IP matters and enlighten us their strategy and philosophy in their leading companies. Our first speaker is Mr. Kenichi Nagasawa from CANON. He's also the LES Japan President-elect. Dear Nagasawa-san, highly appreciated for joining this panel. CANON has been in top 5 patent applicants in US for 35 years and #1 in Japan for 16 years. As we are aware, it requires enormous efforts, cost, innovations, and managing and maintain such a huge number of IP. However, CANON is determined to maintain technology first, incorporating your spirit of pursuing differentiated development of technological strengths with intellectual property right protection, including the underlying technology required by the product and wireless communication, image compression shared in the social media infrastructure technology. May you kindly enlighten us how you manage CANON under this COVID-19 pandemic impact?
Okay, and so I might need to speak about the background first. And because technology-wise, people get used to utilizing cyberspace and web meeting like this. Therefore, remote technology is progressed actually. And also, if people contact each other, that sort of pandemic is much more spread worldwide. Therefore, they try not to come and alone or something like this. Therefore, even in the hotel or hospital, some parts of the human being is replaced by the robot. Means unmanned service get popular and promoted, accelerated, and also even Japan is a very cash dependent country. Even so, if I pay the cash, normally hand into hand up to last year, maybe beginning of last year. After that, they will make an automatic vendor without any contact with a human being. Then, obviously, they recommend or promote us to utilize, card or debit card or other payment way, and without touching or without cash. And education and life care or medical care could be changed somewhat. And especially, as I mentioned later, population will be diversified probably. In that case, the lack of the schools and lack of the hospital or lack of care facility in the countryside. Currently, population is so small, but maybe increased. And also, part of the education is replaced by the web classes, not in the human classes. And life care, for example, life care workers normally take care of all of the elder people. However, the part of it also starts replacing by the sort of robot or cameras or something like this. Medical care, it's also very difficult to go to the hospital, and limited number of hospital, and also many patients for the COVID-19 exist. In that case, medical care is slightly changed to the remote. in Japanese case, it's not so popular because of the certain law or certain rules. But in the other countries, I realize many countries replacing, and some of the hospital-wise treatment to the telemedical care. Yeah, it's the first. Second slide, please.
Yes.
Yeah, second, please. And people get used to teleworking or cyberspace. Therefore, cyber space development would be progress more and more. Utilization become bigger and bigger. But in that case, for example, like Canon, many Japanese or Asian companies, it depends on their core competence located in the device or component or in the physical area. But it's a very good chance to create a new business in, both using physical area, space, and cyberspace as well. Then, so many new development is necessary between the cyberspace and the physical space. Probably it's a very good chance after the corona pandemic and the economic is coming back, and people's demand, people's need will be diversified. Rather, many various needs and various demand come up. The next slide, please. Then you can see in the population disperses and needs and business will be get smaller, but more and more. Now, in that case, we have a lot of chance to, put up new businesses. Now, in that case, we can think about the small lot of the components or devices, but so many kind of the devices or components would be necessary to be manufactured. And in that case, very difficult for educating human beings, probably with a better utilize more robots in the factory. The factory should be much more automated. And this is my prediction. And also in that case, so many, suppliers necessary. So many component or material is necessary. In that case, supply chain management is very much important, not only in the upstream, but also in downstream. And that's slightly drawn in the next slide. Yeah, if you have your core competence technology within a certain physical device or physical component or materials, in that case, you need to create cyber physical solutions. And you might need to collaborate with, open innovation type collaboration with academia or startups or small or middle-sized entities. In that case, those are one of the sort of the competitor of the technology for the physical side. And also, you need more suppliers. In that case, some suppliers are big enough. In that case, supplier might be a competitor. And probably you can't make your business by yourself. In that case, you need, for example, cyber partners. For example, very typically Amazon or Google or those and cloud provider is one of the partner. Another partner should be a solution provider who already get used to creating those solutions, and we sell or we let them to use our solution or our cyber physical solution to the user, but that users might be normal consumers, but the majority is, I think, business partners. And if you, for example, I'll give you the one example. Canon recently make up one solution, businesses, and we have a drone flight And then we put on the camera,
Yeah.
the drone. Then that drone is go around the infrastructure. Then that camera took, make very complicated cracks. For example, in the bridges or dams or something. In that case, if we can use AI correctly, which crack is dangerous, which crack is not so dangerous, or this sort of many insight of the human being put into the AI, then we can find which infrastructure have to be amended, fixed soon. Then, but in that case, customer may be in the Ministry of Infrastructure. Well, in that case, it's not human, normal consumers. Maybe other, architect company would be a customer. But architect company is also sometimes a big company. They might, file the similar patent as us. In that case, they also be a competitor. It's sort of background.
Thank you very much, Nagasawa-san, for sharing the background and your risk management, how CANON cope with COVID-19 pandemic era. Would you mind sharing any strategy change during these years? So what would be CANON's position and strategy under this new normal era then?
Sure. Then
The next slide.
So, next slide, please.
Yes.
This is a typical CANON strategy, historical CANON strategies. Now we try to create new technologies protected by the patent, sometimes a trade secret. Then we start certain pretty big business like a camera printer. In that case, we need to stop newcomers so enter into our business itself. Then we file the patent, we enforce the patent. Then we can get some money, and then we can reinvest that money to the next technologies. It's a CANON's historical successful story about the technology and IP and patents. Now, however, probably this system itself is somewhat currently partially deteriorated. Why? Because of the you mentioned sometimes general technologies like SCPs. If you can count SCPs in each smartphone, it's come to the 100,000 for each smartphone. In that case, only the one patent can work as this way. And some of the users of that patent might ignore because it's a small amount of the payment they expected. This is called holdout problem at the moment. And obviously, relating patent for the standard is much more than that. In that case, and we need to, how can I say, categorize or discriminate core patent, compete patent, and general technology patent. Therefore, this is a trend. However, if we need to go to the cyber area, especially cyber solution, in that case, we have to use so many general technologies. It's obvious. Maybe ourselves, maybe our partner, whichever business creator, several companies create new business. So at least one of them should infringe on those SCPs or infrastructure-related patent. Next slide, please. Therefore, if we create those business, we might need to change the IP strategy.
Yes.
And for example, big business, one patent is very important, and in that case, we need to much thoroughly or perfectly check in the third party's patent. Because if our business is big enough, third party try to enter, then if they have one patent, it's big impact. And however, if we go to the new cyber physical new business, we are rather challenger. In that case, if we need to check all infrastructure patents, maybe 1 million or more than that, in that case, it's practically impossible.
Yes.
Then we need to, if possible, it takes 1, 2, 3 years. In that case, new business gone. then we'd rather, for the new businesses, we'd rather put on the importance of the patent filing first. Now, even it may be located into the prior technologies. Anyway, we should file what our business doing, and also if new technology implemented, we should file as quick as possible without checking third parties' patents. Then obviously, so we can ignore in the socially necessary patent. Rather, if you use a key component or key technology or key materials, we might concentrate to study that sort of patent only. Especially smaller business, and probably impact of the third party's patent is get smaller comparison with traditional CANON business. That it might, I suppose. Then next scenario, next slide, please. Then how our patent portfolio shall be. Product technologies was very much important, or somewhat new technologies in the physical areas. It's tangible. We can check sometimes on third parties infringement. It's still very important for keep our big businesses. However, if we go into the new businesses, various businesses, and we need more and more general and common technology related patent. Now, because one reason is very difficult to predict or suppose who is a competitor. And as I mentioned, maybe come from upstream, maybe come from downstream, maybe our suppliers, maybe our cyber partners, and they might be our competitors in the IP area. In that case, with a better increase portfolio regarding general common technologies, which can be used in the various competitors. And even we can't predict at the moment. And if, for example, if 5G SEPs, it's very, very much useful to utilize against any competitors. That's why I now are promoting the international standard activities, and also finding more and more common technologies like AI, fintech, and this sort of area. And it's a sort of prosecution strategy changed. Then I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing how the CANON they cope with the emerging technology and integrated with your traditional IP management style, and that actually bring you into a new cutting edge. But however, we understand Japan has a very profound cultural heritage, and I think the management style is very different from the Western system. So when you bring in so many emerging technology like the drone with very advanced cameras and new technology, you must hire a lot of new stuff. So how you manage to develop all the stuff they may working on the new technology or the existing technology, all can develop their skill set and working together to bring in CANON for the future success.
Yeah, so according to my experience in working in Europe and the US, it's a labor system from Europe and the US and Japan is totally different, as you mentioned. And however, lately, I feel many Japanese employees change their job. I think according to the quick change of the business itself, or culture is gradually I think changing. Then, having said so, so it's a CANON sort of philosophy to create expert of the certain area of the IP work, like litigation, like a prosecution, like a contract. Now we try to keep a salary pursuit of the expertise of those areas. Otherwise, we should ask everything to the patent attorneys, not do ourselves. But they are knowing what is our way of litigation, way of prosecuting, or way of contract, or according to the canon's past culture. Now, those people who shall work to maintain current big business, like imaging business or printing business. I say imaging and printing, not camera and printer, because printing is not only the paper, but also walls, for example, or carpet, or print. Now, those printing area is Canon's base of the big business. Another area is imaging, not in the camera, I mentioned. Surveillance cameras, drone cameras, or, sometimes even in the dark area, we can take some of the picture, or chasing some of the crime, those areas, security areas. And also, if you can see some of the unseen, subject within a certain, certain things. In that case, we might use X-rays, we might use other wavelengths, light, and it's also imaging area. Therefore, our main business is imaging and printing. But apart from them, we have a medical, we have an industry, many areas, and also we should establish some of the new business currently at seed. Maybe that seed will be grown to the small businesses. But in that case, I can't allocate the many people in the one business. In that case, only one person has to be, treat everything regarding IP, not only the prosecution, but the contract and litigation, enforcement, or administrations, or everything. Then even copyright counts, even trademark counts, even portrait right counts. That one person should treat everything. In that case, he or she need sort of the business sense. Then what is important for the business? What have to be prioritized? That sort of sense is necessary. It's not expert, rather, multiple talented IP people is necessary, I guess, or I suppose. Therefore, our program, education programs recently slightly changed to make those people. How to make? Please go to the next slide. One is, anyway, so I let them to have many various different experiences. In that case, I might dispatch those candidate person to the other company or other association, our subsidiaries, or public organization. They might have a different view of each businesses. In that case, that sort of a sense or that sort of experience would be a much educative for that people. It's one of the way. Another way is within the Canon's IP headquarters, we have a prosecution team, a litigation team, licensing team, and trademark team, and everything. And I might put in those people who would be a multi-talented IP person to move to the other department or this sort of things. And also, another necessity is a long-term view. And for example, if you can count this year's, profit and loss, it's much easier to predict. But if you can think about how technology will be changed 10 years later, or how Canon's, business should be 10 years later, how the cyberspace, how the AI is used, what kind of law come up within the 10 years. That sort of long-term view is also necessary. Therefore, I would like to make such opportunity to exchange that sort of opinion in the same age. In that case, they will brush up each other. This is a typical, measures to make up that sort of person.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing how CANON developed the skill set and synergy people's competence for further revitalize CANON. Thank you very much for Nagasawa-san's in-depth and comprehensive explanation regarding IP strategy and how you skillfully manage and maximize the efficacy competence of the IP management style in CANON.
Thank you very much for Nagasawa-san, your very kind sharing. I'm just wondering, do you have any particular comments or suggestions to the corporates in the whole supply chain?
At the Bangalore and India. And, therefore, so main audience would be Asian people, I think. Therefore, that sort of strategy is based on the physical component or physical manufactured product. Maybe only that one we could be just a supplier. In that case, no business maker. Business maker control price or cost on the supplier. In that case, we can't make any good profit. We should make up the business by using cyber area, even collaborate with some people. Then, especially in Asian people shall collaborate, cause as I mentioned, supply chain management is very important. There are many parts and materials or start manufacturing in the Asian area. If we can collectively collaborate, and we can make a very good position for the whole business, even if we involve in European and American companies, we might have a good position on that business. And only one company do everything. It's almost nonsense for the future. Therefore, I just want to say, Asian fellows, we should collaborate.
Yeah, thank you for sharing how the Asian company they should try to synergize their competence to make a more meaningful, efficacy, and profitable supply chain. Thank you very much for your very kind sharing.